This is my homemade jet engine. But one just wasn't enough. Last time we tested this monster Pulsejet engine I built, and we found that it puts over 100 pounds of thrust. Well, honestly, that's a lot of power for this size engine, but I want more. Which is why I'm gonna build 2 more. And when I've got these together, I'm gonna merge all 3 of them together. I actually started rolling these tubes when I started the first one, with every intention of building a triple Pulsejet. You're probably thinking to yourself, why build 3 when you can just build one big one?
So there are 2 main reasons for doing it this way. First reason, I already know this engine. It's tuned perfectly. I know how it runs. If I put 3 of them together, I know what to expect. If I were to build a really large engine from scratch, I'd have to do some R&D. I'd probably have to cut it apart a couple of times to get it to work just the way I want to. For the second reason, let's say you have a go-kart like this one, and you want to put a really big engine on it that produces 300 pounds of thrust, just like this. Well, as you can see, this thing is going to be enormous. This thing doesn't even fit on the screen, so obviously it's just too big. So instead, if I put 3 engines together, as you can see here, I've got a much tighter package, and it's not hanging out the back of the go-kart 12 feet.
Alright, now that you know the reason for doing it this way, I'm going to finish welding all these pieces together. So, I'm not actually 100% sure this is going to work, but it is going to work because we just saw it running in the intro, so I guess I better get to work. As you can see, these 2 engines are not complete yet. I opted to leave the exhaust tube off for now. That'll give me plenty of room where I can work on these combustion chambers. And with the exhaust tube in the way, it's going to make it near impossible to get in there to do all that work. Not only that, but this engine weighs nearly 45 pounds. So as I put these engines together, it's gonna start getting real heavy. And it looks like I'll be moving this injector and where that spark plug connects, because that's gonna get real tight in there real soon. Well, if you haven't noticed already, these combustion chambers are tapered. So I can't just cut a rectangle in here and slap it up against the next one and assume that it's going to fit. So I used my CAD drawings to figure out where this needs to be cut. And then I drew up a template that should allow me to mark this up, cut this out, and when this is attached to the next engine, everything lines up nice and straight. Otherwise, when I put these together, all the tips of the intakes will be touching and kind of pointing towards each other. One of the big problems I have is once I put the 3rd engine on, I'm not going to be able to get up in here to get this welded. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do that yet. So, I do have some ideas though, but for now, I think we're just going to get these 2 engines merged together. I've got these two pieces fitted up pretty good. Now I just need to drill a series of holes in this one so that the two can communicate and everything can equalize and run as one. So the templates I made to cut the holes seem to work pretty good. Everything seems to be lining up pretty good. I'm not 100% sure how it's going to go to put that third engine on here, but I'm confident I'll get it figured out. So why do these three engines have to be connected this way? Why do they need a series of holes and open cavities to be connected so that they communicate? Why go through all this work and not just put the engines really close together? I'm glad you asked. So just for a minute, let's imagine that these two engines are not connected. They're just really close together.
So let's start with these engines not running, and then we'll start them up. Okay, that's a little fast. Let's slow that down a little bit. Okay, now we can see what's going on. Now they're synced up perfectly, but let's see what happens once an inevitable change in resonance from a fuel or air mixture throws off that synchronization. And boom, one engine is sucking the exhaust from the other engine and vice versa. And all of a sudden, poof, we've got both engines stopped completely.
So by now you should have a pretty good understanding of why we got to cut holes in these engines to sync them up so they run as one unit. So I'm really excited to get this engine mounted to the other two. But first, I need to take out the spark plug bung and the fuel injector bung, get those holes closed off, because where they're mounted right now is going to be right in the middle of where these three engines are connected. But luckily, I have some extra material, so let's get those bungs cut out and then filled in. I don't really have a good way to measure where these are supposed to be, so I pretty much just made sure this was straight up and down and eyeballed it. That should be fine. We got a little bit of leeway one way or another. More importantly, I want to make sure I mark and cut out the holes in the right spot and the cutout in the right spot. So man, how much tape did I put on this thing? I just had that marker in the back pocket. Classic. If you have a good step bit, that works pretty good for going through the stainless steel. But I still like to use just a regular drill bit to drill the pilot hole. It just makes it easier. I've already broken like 3 drill bits doing this, so make sure I don't lose an eye. I keep looking at the other 2 engines thinking I'm doing this wrong, but every time I look, I'm doing it good, so we're on the right side. This takes a while, and it goes through a few batteries, but it's easier than trying to get it on the drill press, because this is just too big. So that's going to take me a little while, but we'll muscle through it. For the last hour or more, I've taken this top engine off dozens of times, and I've tried to get it to fit better. It's getting better, but I'm getting to a point where I'm making other things worse. So I think I'm going to just call it good. It's not perfect, but I think as far as functionality, it's going to be fine. So I'm going to get this welded up, and then we can start figuring out where all the injectors are going to go. This thing keeps making a lot of clanking and tinging noises. I hope when I take these straps off, it stays in one place, or at least doesn't just go. So, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Well, I got a bunch of this welded up, so let's take off the straps and see what happens. Nothing. Perfect. So even if there is a bunch of internal stress in here, this thing's going to be red hot. So that's going to relieve all that stress after we get it fired up. So whatever. Should be fine. These two outside seams are welded up. Now we just have to figure out how to get those two inside seams from the inside. I originally had figured that I could cut a window out of both two combustion chambers to get in there to weld it. But then it occurred to me that I could reach those two seams through this cavity. So then I found a website called hardtoreachweldingspots.com, and they sent me a nice long TIG tungsten rod that I can get up in there and reach those spots. And since that's complete nonsense, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to cut out some little triangles to just patch in the front and the back holes. That way it just closes off that whole inner area. I really don't feel like cutting into these combustion chambers and trying to get in there to weld that. That's going to be a bit of a nightmare. So in theory, this should work. I guess we'll find out. Enjoy following along with my Pulsejet projects, please consider to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It all helps. It's your interest in these projects that helps me keep building, so thanks for your support. I'm just trying to visualize with these other exhaust pipes in the way where I'm going to put all the injectors. They all kind of need to go here and there on this engine. The other one shouldn't be too big a deal, but there's going to be a lot going on in here, and this thing is going to be right in the way, so I got to plan this out pretty good. Kind of climb on the table. I got this thing right where I want it. I don't want to move it. So I just have to improvise. So this is looking really good. I've got lots of room, lots. I've got room to put some injectors on this top engine, more room than I thought I had. So this is looking pretty good. I'm going to get a few things marked up while it's up here, start drilling some holes, get the injectors in place, and we'll do the same with the other two engines before I put the two exhaust pipes back on, or should on for the first time. And we'll get all that welded up. So let's get to cutting some holes. So one thing I am a little worried about is I've got this single engine to start just instantaneously when liquid propane is pumped into the engine. I don't know if that's going to stay the same if I try to do all three of them at the same time. So I guess we'll find out. I don't think it's super critical where the spark plug goes, so I'm gonna cut a hole and put this bung in just over here out of convenience, out of the way of anything else. Well, look what I did. I told myself to double check that, and then, yeah, I didn't do that. I didn't double check it, so I'm going to fix that now. Injector holes 2.0. That'll work. So these are just test holes. It's all part of the process. So I have been dreaming and contemplating building an engine like this or similar to this and putting it on some sort of vehicle for nearly 18 years. I'm getting pretty close. I'm getting pretty excited. I had to get creative to get this thing all lined up, but I think I got it just about perfect. Just needed some straps to hang it from the ceiling and some random shims and bungee straps to hold it in place. These old engine mounts aren't going to work, so I took some 1/8 inch by 1 inch strap, bent it up, drilled a few holes, and made a whole bunch more clamps. The bottom clamps will connect to the thrust stand, but these ones in the back also help the longer exhaust part of the engine not collapse in on itself. So, unfortunately, some of the parts I need to run this thing on diesel with the electric pumps are hung up in the post. But I've been working on this thing for months, and I've been planning it for longer. So I can't wait any longer. I'm going to hook up the liquid propane, and we're going to see if this thing instantly starts. Or honestly, if it runs at all. I'm a little nervous. All right, test fire. In 3, 2, 1. So that was awesome. It started right up on liquid propane, and I just let it idle a bit. Now we need to get it up to full power. So to get it up to full power, we need more fuel, and to go along with you running it on liquid propane, I'm going to run it on gasoline. So I've got a separate fuel tank for the gasoline. I've got 4 fuel injectors and a whole lot more plumbing going to all 6 injectors, 2 for each engine. So that'll be more than enough fuel to get us up to full power. I'll just keep pushing the fuel pressure up until the engine dies. And when it dies, I know that's too much fuel. It'll cut out instantly. That should be our highest thrust measurement. So before I run this triple lock went up to full power, I would like to formally apologize to my neighbors. And although I have 14 acres, I do have some neighbors. I'm going to be pushing this thing right in the middle of my property to do that full power run, so hopefully that keeps it to a minimum. Okay, full throttle test fire. 3, 2, 1. Oh no. Bummer. I think the ignition was screwed up. Try it again. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, but I got like the bottom.
Like
I got the bottom.
My breath was like,
We're doing this. Well, not quite the power I was hoping,
No, it's still a lot though.
but it was still a lot. 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're done. So I have a little ignition problems there at first, but the thrust gauge did get up to about 260 pounds before it flamed out. And I think I was having some issues with my fuel pumps for the gasoline. I think it wasn't working, and all of a sudden it ramped up real fast and cut out at 260, probably before it got into full power. But at the end, right before it flamed out, it was actually still running, but it was like it was just running really rich. It was pretty cool. If you got any ideas as to what I should put this monster of an engine on, let me know in the comments below. This thing finally cooled down enough. Actually got kind of a nice patina. Well, I'm pretty happy with the results, but I really think I can tweak this engine to get up closer to 300 pounds of thrust. But honestly, I think I've rattled the neighborhood enough for today, or for a while for that matter. If you like Pulsejet related content like this, please like, share, and subscribe. Again, I'm Zach, and I hope I've inspired you to get out and build something.